to In Conversation. Today we have with us Captain Pappu Sastry, the CEO of Adhira Shipping and Logistics and Rainmakers Management and Consultancy, recently recognized as the Entrepreneur of the Year at the 2022 IBJ Awards and a winner at the 2023 Bulk Logistics Excellence Award. Captain Shastri is a leading figure in the shipping and logistics industry, known for his innovative solutions and global expertise. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
So, you recently spoke at our summit, DryCon 2024, about opportunities in Africa for logistics. So, for my first question to you, you always contend that you are doing what a regular logistics or shipping company is not doing. What does ASL cover in logistics when there is a contract with a mining company?
Okay, actually, I do always maintain that we don't do what regular logistics companies do or regular shipping companies do. We do everything that is needed from pit to port. What the mining company understands it as pit to port. So we act as an extension of the mining company itself, and we manage all their activities and we allocate all the vendors. So we are also involved in costing and the structure and the strategy for deployment. So we work with the mining company as if we are their employees, and we actually come up with a strategy on how to structure the logistics. So we have to be involved with them from the beginning for that to happen. Or if they are in trouble, then we have to restructure the whole thing. So say for example, from mine, we transport to stockpile, then we do the port management, and then we do the barging and the transshipment, and then we do the shipping. So what happens is, a lot of people will not see our name in it, but we are the ones who give the trucking contract. We are the ones who give the barging contract. We are the ones who give the transshipment contract. We are the ones who give out the COA for Cape-size vessels in Africa. But people don't see it because we may not do it on our name. We also have an agency kind of an agreement with the mining companies when we do project management. So we sometimes do it on the client's name directly, or mostly we do it on the client's name directly. So they don't see us as the guys who are holding a COA, but we are the guys who are actually controlling these contracts and COAs in the back. So what happens with that is that we get long-term contracts with the mining companies. So we end up being like a part of them. You could say employees uh, with apportionment of responsibility.
So, as you mentioned, long term contracts. Recently, Adhira Shipping and Logistics was appointed by Moonbound Mining for a long-term lithium logistics project in South Africa. Can you tell us more about this project and the specific services ASL will be providing?
Moonbound is a public listed company in Canada. They hold lithium mines in South Africa. They've given us a 10-year contract. So there, uh, is still in bulk, but it is in quantity is much lesser. So we do from the mine, we do the transportation up to the processing unit, and from the processing unit, we do the transportation up to the warehouse in Cape Town, and then in the warehouse we do the stuffing and the stuffing of the container, and then do the shipping. So we actually end up doing some part of the transportation in bulk and some part of it in bags. So after the processing, we manage the stockpile, and then we bag the cargo. Then we put it on trucks, and then once it goes to the warehouse, it is all either sold. Depends how they sell it. They when they do the trade, they sell the cargo to traders, probably FOB or CFR or CIF. Then we get involved with either the container shipping we do or we don't do. But in most cases, it is just selling at the warehouse or selling after the container is on board. And that is the plan for now for Moonbound for South Africa. And that's a 10-year contract.
And so, with extensive experience in the African mining sector, Could you share some key learnings that have shaped your approach to logistics in this region?
Key learnings. Learnings about Africa. I think one of the main things to learn about being in Africa is to respect the country you're working in. A lot of people come in and start talking bad about the country where they're working in. That doesn't work. You have to start with respect, and you have to realize that you cannot be better than the local communities or better off than the government in any deal. So you have to share your plans, you have to share your visions, you have to share all your ideas with the community or with the ministry or with the authorities. Everybody has to know what your great plans are, and you should have a long-term vision for that. And we have a lot of socio-political programs for the community, or we do something at least for uplifting the local community. Normally, that is employing the local community into the mining sector, into the logistics sector by ourselves. So, being inclusive is very important. We can't act as silos when we are working in Africa. We have to also be aware of the cultural differences. Africa is not one country. Different. You have to be aware where you are working. A lot of them are English speaking. A lot of them are French speaking, or a lot of them, for example, are Christian majority. A lot of them are Islamic majority countries, and things like there are some local rules and regulations, local traditions, local stuff like in South Africa, you have black empowerment. It is necessary to use local labor, at least to a great extent. So to develop that, you have to be aware, and I think the awareness and the respect is where you start with when you go into Africa.
So, you've also mentioned earlier in DryCon as Africa having immense potential for investment opportunities. Why do you think more companies should be looking into investing in Africa right now, and what qualities should such companies possess for entering the African market?
So why more companies have to be looking at it? I think it is the right time. We have been in Africa for a while, but there were times in and out and on and off when it was not the right time. But see, there are a lot of non-traditional opportunities in logistics. People can invest in machinery. They can invest in processing equipment. They can invest in trucking. Investment just in either building a port or making a better port than what it is already, upgrading ports or managing ports, or even investment into floating assets, or there are even possibilities of being a trade bridge. So there are a lot of such investments, and mostly these are low investments. I would say you can start anything like 1 million, 2 million onwards, upwards, and the risk is also less because mostly these are guaranteed returns of 15 to 20%, which is not happening in shipping for now. I would say, see, why now is also because the margins are quite high, and these margins will come down as more and more people come in. So your 3 million used to become 6 million in 5 years with a 20% return, simple calculation. And now it is like 6 years for it to double. As soon it will become 8 years to double. So your returns will keep coming down as more competition and more investment comes in. Um, and the second part of your question was qualities that companies need.
Yeah,
I think,
companies should
yeah,
possess for entering the market.
yeah, for entry, I think they should be quick. They should be aware of the risk that they are taking. They should be willing for a long-term involvement. They also should realize that, irrespective of the country, the risk that they are taking is only the counterparty risk, and the counterparties are not African. These are large UK or North American or even Middle East companies. We have a few Southeast Asian companies, Singaporean. We have even Indian counterparts who are very good, very big, and most of them deal with you on a professional level with a guaranteed return for investments which are small, because they tend to concentrate on mining investments. And for them, these small investments all collect up and they are not their core business. So they are happy to let go of those.
Okay. And so you have worked in Africa for several years. What is different about your plans for the coming years in Africa, and how do you envision ASL's role evolving?
Yeah, actually, we've had the pleasure of making our own mistakes instead of learning from others. So I would say the counterparty focus was less. That will change quite a bit. Community engagement was always less. We always underestimated that part, and that we are changing quite a bit. The training of the locals was not really done because it was always about short term and let's work out this year and we will see next year or find a loophole in the rules. But now we are not trying to find that. We are actually training the locals. Um, I think we are also working only on long term. We are not doing any short term businesses. Anything less than 2 or 3 years, we are not doing it all. And now also, the whole strategy is changed where we become part of the mining company and we become the extension of the mining company. So we're not competing on price. And lesser projects is okay, is a thought process that comes when you actually do more than what you can. And I think saying no is the art I've learned after being in Africa for so many years.
So, how is ASL addressing innovation, modernization, and ESG in its operations?
Innovation. Okay, modernization. What we start with is with all the new projects, we are starting with new machinery and new technology, and the training on this technology is being provided. But I would say innovation is more in the thought process right now because there are so many basic steps that we need to take before actually modernizing the whole community. Because we work with the local communities who are there, or we work. With everybody who's around the mine, around the port, around the logistics that we are providing. So after having a local employment focus, we also have a lot of skill development. So skill development includes means from everything from basic survival training, survival not at sea but survival in the country training, and going up to the education, teaching them a language that is common, whether it is French or English, and then having actual schooling and having a longer vision on schooling and doing vocational training. We actually have machinery which we try to explain to people. If you're not able, I mean, if you're already old enough and not able to learn anymore anything else, then you come and learn how to run a machinery, and we will provide you employment for the long term. And simple things like we have a transit cooperation planned for operators and drivers' welfare. We actually have plans, or in a lot of places, the lack of sanitation is such a problem. The basic necessities are not there, electricity access is not there, sewage treatment is not there. So in such places, we can't really talk about modernization straight away. But modernization of the equipment is one thing, but to uplift everything together, then we have to have long-term plan. And for example, also healthcare access. Healthcare access in most of the communities or even at the site, it means for all the human beings who are there, irrespective of what rank and whether they are our employees or not, for the whole community, all for all nationalities, we have the same healthcare access. So when we go in and set up a processing plant and we have logistics set up, our local people have the same access to health as everybody else in the village. By that, I don't mean we are bringing down the standards of our staff. We are actually uplifting the standards of the community itself. So the similar thing with port management, for example, we take operators of the machines from around the port, and we take them on a long term employment, and we engage with them for the long term. we are providing pre-C training for ratings, and after minimal education, we can provide them some survival technique and pre-C training for putting them as non-essential staff on floating cranes and barges. And that is the thought process which the governments like, the ministries like, because we know that we are doing it for the long term. We are not doing it for the short term. We are not bringing in other African nationals to replace these African nationals. We are developing the people who are there. And we are planning, of course, training colleges are something that I've been discussing with some of my friends, especially people who are in India. Also, because the language specific training is required. So, shipping colleges, engineering colleges, medical colleges, or just medical facilities are a challenge. So, medical colleges will come sometime in the future. But I think ESG wise, we do more than modernization. But innovation, again, I would say, is in the thought process, not in not exactly in hardware.
That is actually very impressive to hear the details of the initiatives you're taking that will have like an extensive positive impact now, but especially in the future. So that is very impressive to hear.
Thank you.
And what is the biggest concern in the mining sector in Africa, and how is ASL addressing these challenges?
Biggest concern, I think, in Africa, people have a lot of concerns. They sometimes have more concerns than what there are actually. See, people, when you ask anybody about Africa, even people who have never been to Africa, when you ask my sons, they have never been to Africa, but they'll tell you, I think it is full of Ebola and full of full of military coups and civil wars. It's not exactly true, but that is the somehow the reputation precedes Africa. Wherever you go and talk about it. So there is a colonial hold of France, and there's a Chinese debt trap like every other country in the world, with many of the countries in Africa as well. But the challenges that we face in mining sector or mining logistics is the entry of non-serious players, people who come in for short-term gains. They're not there for the long term. They cut your, they come in and cut your pricing. They compete with you only on price and not on quality. And for most of the time, what we then tell our clients is if of all that we have done, if you think the number was important, then please go ahead and work with the Chinese or work with anybody else who will give you a better price. And most of these clients go and come back. They always come back for a longer term contract. So I prefer to let them go and try other people. So these kind of even people who have assets are still not serious about long-term commitment to the country, and I don't know why. Infrastructure game is another thing. Like the government thinks that if you're developing the infrastructure, then you're there for the long term. So you're developing a port and a road and everything else around the mine. So government thinks that oh, you're going to be here for 25 years. Then the mining guys are not really in that mood. They are selling these mines and going away, which doesn't make any sense. Or they go bankrupt because they were planning some funding and it did not happen, and they didn't have enough backup, or the management was not good enough. So various such issues. So financing availability is another problem in Africa. Even to the extent, I would say, in most African countries, the US dollar availability is a problem. So we have to trade African business from outside of Africa. So we can't really collect a LC in Africa. We can't sell cargo from Africa. It's always a challenge. There are a few countries which are not even having a coast, like Rwanda and Ethiopia, which are developing very well, and I think they'll do very well because they're being managed better. So that kind of sums it up. But it's such a big continent with so many countries. I think the challenges are different in different countries, but appreciating all of them. And if I have to use a broad brush, then these are the challenges, I would say. It's more about the people and the country.
So, and how are you able to address these challenges? What do you think is the solution to deal with them?
Solution to deal with them is to have lesser number of contracts, to have longer contracts, only take a bite size that you can actually digest or chew. You actually don't have to do every project that comes across the table. Have to select your counterparties carefully and stick with them. You have to ensure that you have the same vision as them. So, I mean, the country, whatever happens will happen. I mean, you can't stop a military coup, you can't stop a civil war, but you can have a plan for it. And I would say, see, in a country like Guinea, when the military coup happened, or Gabon when the military coup happened, mining did not stop even for an hour. Exports did not stop even for an hour. These are the backbones of the economy. So military coup, yes, it's a problem, but why is it a problem? I mean, it's not stopped anything, so it doesn't really affect us.
And for the future, is Africa the focus or is there a plan for other continents? How do you choose what to do?
We do actually. I mean, we have a very strict business pipeline filtering process. We don't. I mean, we have. I mean, we have a very rigid one. I made that so rigid that I can't get up from the wrong side of the bed and say, okay, no, let's just do this project. Yeah, I can't do that even in my own company. So it has to be on the basis that I have put down parameters. Only on that parameters, if the scoring is okay, only then we will be able to do that business. So in 2024, we're doing Guinea, we're doing Sierra Leone, we're doing South Africa, we're doing Madagascar. Next year, I can see myself. Namibia is something we will already be starting this year. Liberia, Botswana, Gabon, Ivory Coast. I can see it happening in before the end of 2025. And see, I mean, we grow with the client. We are not trying to grow the number of clients. We are trying to grow the size of our own clients, so we grow with them. So most of these clients have come to Africa after having presence in Canada or Australia or Argentina, Chile for lithium, Saudi Arabia, India, and these people will take us there by by having the relationship that we are building up. But in general, we are trying not to spread ourselves thin. Africa has got big margins now. Tomorrow, if the African margins come down and South America margins will be higher, I'll go there. But not for the sake of just the margin, but for the sake of long-term contract. We are anyway in at least 5 countries for next 10 years. So we see there are more countries coming up next year. So if I'm in 10 countries for 10 years, I don't know what is the future plan.
Sir, you are on the board of some listed companies and mining companies. What qualities does one need for the transformation from being a ship captain to becoming an entrepreneur and to be nominated to board of directors in listed entities around the world?
Wow, this is like I can write a book on this. How from becoming a ship captain to an entrepreneur, I think means a lot of people say every ship captain when he when I became a captain, I was 27, and that was my aim in life. Right after that, I had no idea where I'm going to go next. After that, there was no clear path. I think thinking outside of a ship is the first thing that you'll have to do, because all your life you've thought about, okay, this is my goal in life, and that you have achieved at age of 27 or 30. And after that, what exactly are you doing? There are a lot of captains, means a lot of captains who just continue to be captains, which is also perfectly all right. They don't have to become an entrepreneur. It's not there in everybody, and it is perfectly all right to do that as well. They probably become part-time experts in real estate and buy a lot of things. That's a different thing. But means I think anybody who will understand how the world works, who has the interest to understand where the gaps are, what is it that they are solving by bringing on and becoming an entrepreneur, they have to understand that part. If they are just doing it for the sake of they have a ship management company. I'll also start a ship management company. I don't think that solves anything. You're just having more ship management companies fighting for the same business. So you have to know what problem you're going to solve and then have that business, and that business idea should make you the entrepreneur and not the other way around, that I have to become an entrepreneur, so I'm going to do something. That is one part. And then I also think that you should not expect someone will do something for you. Ship captains have this, ship captains who come out of the ship, they tend to have this. My uncle has got a ship, he will give me the ship, I'll run the ship management company. That doesn't last. And you can actually, you can, if you solve a problem, you have a solution for something, and you have the passion for something, then your client will grow. So you will grow with the client. You should sustain the client, you should not burn bridges, and you should go with the client. That is the easiest way of growing, because that is one sure shot way of getting paid also. And also, I think to become director on boards is a completely different thought process. That I have found out after being entrepreneur for many years. To become a director, I think means you have to think level headed. You should let go of the things that really don't matter. I think you should be aware of economics and corporate governance. You should know what they are. You should be actually strong in corporate governance. You should love numbers. You should understand finance, at least the corporate finance, how it works, and what is the vision of the company, and everything is related to the vision of the company. You can't change the vision with your actions. You know this is your destination, and you put your GPS map to it. Every road that you take has to be getting you closer to that. If that thought process is there, and you have strategy and planning, those are regular, and these are some things that these are skills that ship captains have, but they don't explore it, exploit it as much, right? But you have to be good in strategy, you have to be good in planning, you have to know that you have to think laterally and say, okay, everything leads to the vision. So when we are doing this, is this helping us to come closer to the vision? It helps to reduce the stock price for a short while, doesn't matter. It should still be towards the bigger goal. And I think ownership of all the ideas, accountability for all your mistakes, responsibility for the thought process that you have. Once you have all these, then you become a good ship captain. You become a good entrepreneur, and you will be a very good board of directors.
Thank you, sir. I think that's actually really valuable advice for our viewers. I know I learned a lot just by listening to you speak, and we are very grateful to have you on in conversation with